they'll come back to the pack pretty quickly. Barcelona will recover. Real Madrid get their act together. PSG start signing a few players who can, run around a bit as well. And Bayern are Bayern. This will all be fine.
Look, it reminds me of 2008, a little bit watching BT Sport last night, Joe, where remember 3 English teams got to the Champions League semi-finals that year, and there was an all-English final between Chelsea and Manchester United, and it was to usher in a period of dominance. And then that Barcelona team came for the next 3 to 4 seasons after that. And look, it's very clear the 3 best teams who are left in the Champions League right now are the top 3 in the Premier League. But that would be to overlook Bayern Munich entirely, who... they had to get a bit of help in their Klassiker at the weekend against Borussia Dortmund, but they've been flying. Robert Lewandowski has been scoring goals all around. I don't think anyone would like to draw Bayern Munich in the next round. Chelsea potentially could if they slip up against St. Petersburg and Juventus win that group. And I think Paris Saint-Germain are probably going to be a different prospect the other side of Christmas. And in the Champions League, with the exception of that defeat that they took at Manchester City, they've come through that group reasonably comfortably, albeit in second place. I think it's not as clear-cut as some people think that there's going to be another all-English final like we had last season or like 2008. But it is fairly clear, I think, that the 3 best teams, Liverpool, Manchester City and Chelsea, are the 3 best in Europe right now.
I think what just added an anecdotal flourish to the sense that England are so on top was the way that Liverpool beat AC Milan at the San Siro. This is AC Milan. This was a Liverpool side resting some of their frontline players who didn't need to win. And yet... it's worth saying AC Milan were missing half of their back 4 and another 3 first teamers, and were not in particularly good form anyway. So it's not like Liverpool. And
Maignan made 2 uncharacteristic mistakes in goal, which led directly to the 2 goals too. Like Milan weren't really at it last night. It wasn't a particularly good performance from the Serie A leaders. But did anyone really expect that Milan were going to win, even with Liverpool a little bit weakened and with some young players playing last night? I think most people thought that Liverpool were going to go there and get a result. Perhaps the most surprising thing in that group was that Atletico Madrid pulled off the great escape by overcoming Porto last night by 2-0 when they looked dead and buried halfway through this group, and yet Diego Simeone's side still get to the last 16. And I don't think too many teams will want to draw them over 2 legs, despite the fact that they've looked below par this season. Even just glancing at recent Champions League finals, okay, last year you have Chelsea, Man City, fair enough. They're going to be there or thereabouts for a long time to come. You would think that's fine. The year before that, it is Bayern PSG, neither of whom I think have wilted overly. Year before that, Liverpool beat Spurs. Liverpool are still very much here. Spurs, I think we can discard. And then you're into 4 Real Madrid wins in 5 years, the 5th year being Barcelona, and then the year before that Bayern win, which is their 2nd in the last 8 years. They've won 2 in the last 8 years. So I think there's definitely a degree, Richie, of recency bias. And anytime a certain country are looking good, it's very easy to say, well, it's going to be like this forever. I suppose the one thing which might lead you to be slightly pessimistic if you didn't want to have English teams dominate is there is such a concentration of money in the English game now, and that does look like it's going to endure for a long time to come.
Yeah, you would think, though, that those 3 teams, possibly with the addition of Manchester United, maybe just in terms of the club sizes, will be able to keep the others in England at arm's length, just provided that they're actually run with a bit of common sense between now and year dot. But what we have actually seen, regardless of the 3 English teams who've been doing so well this season, is like you go through all those teams, and for us to come to the name of Bayern Munich and almost describe them as the underdog of that pack that we've just named shows you the problem that European football has, because you talk about a concentration of wealth. Like, the European Super League has happened. We have it here. We are seeing the same teams pretty much year in and year out at the business end of Europe's biggest competition, and it's not going to change unless something pretty seismic happens. And like what we're going to see more and more, of course, is the player power is going to come into it, and that player concentration and wealth concentration is going to become even more focused, because transfer fees for the biggest players are going to go out the window. We're going to see a lot more players in control their own contracts, running them down, and then only the clubs best placed to pay them handsome wages are going to be able to pick them up. So this is going to just stay as is, and if not get even smaller. And we do have the European Super League as it is. Like, the group stage of the Champions League is utterly pointless and has been for a while. The only saving grace tonight, I guess, is Group F, whereby all 4 teams can still go through, or Group E, where all 4 teams can still go through. But like, everything else is just, it's a waste of time, the group stages. It only gets interesting in the last 16, and then you can easily pick who's going to be in the quarterfinals. And it's going to be like that for a long time, as long as these formats remain.
And I can sort of live with that. We're never going to go back to the 90s, if we're taking that as the jump-off point for the group stages in Europe. We're never going to go back to that. So if we say this year, who can win the Champions League? We have the three English sides. We have PSG, although you'd have your reservations given the lack of running in their front three. You'd have PSG, you'd have Bayern, and I think you would throw in Real Madrid, who aren't as awful potentially, and just there's a history there and a DNA and all those awful cliches. So that's
and as well, Joe,
teams.
Real Madrid, if they win at the weekend against Atletico, have got a really good chance of having La Liga almost sewn up by Christmas. They've got a Champions League specialist manager in Carlo Ancelotti, and finally some of their forward players, aside from Benzema, are starting to hit a bit of form. Vinicius Junior looks particularly impressive. I'm not saying that Real Madrid are going to win the Champions League, but they are the type of team who could take out one of those English super clubs along the way.
Well, that's the point.
Like they've done in recent seasons.
So that's 6 teams, legitimate chances of winning. That means from the late knockout stages on, this tournament is as good as ever. Like, I think, 6 teams to be in with a shout of winning any tournament. I mean, how many competitions are there where 6 teams can win? So basically none of the domestic leagues. You take the All-Ireland Football Championships, hurling and football, you don't have 6 teams there. You take NFL, you don't have 6 teams there. Give me any sport where there are 6 teams with a real chance of winning a competition. I mean, that's a fairly healthy return. So, well, I've raised this whole prospect of English domination, Will, and completely undercut the piece with Gab Marcotti, I think, in the first 5 minutes of the show.
Gabby has the night off.
Yeah. I think 6 is still okay.
It's not bad. I mean, would you consider there's 6 viable contenders to win the Heineken Champions Cup before it starts this weekend?
No,
I would think most people would probably say a pool of 3 or 4 clubs there.
Yeah, I would think so as well. Yeah.
Tops.
So there we go. We should start the news round. It is, as ever, with thanks to Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors. You are starting, Richie, with the now defunct Champions League, the pointless Champions League group stages.
Pointless Champions League group stages. Chelsea and Juventus in a tussle to finish top of Champions League Group H tonight. In St. Petersburg, it's now Zenit 2, Chelsea 2. Romelu Lukaku has equalised in the past couple of minutes for Chelsea. Timo Werner had put them ahead pretty early in that game tonight. While in Turin, Juventus lead Malmo by a goal to nil. Moise Keane with that goal for Juve on 18 minutes. But as things stand, Juve going through as group winners, Chelsea and runners up. Both sides already assured of their places in the last 16. Regardless, as are Manchester United, group winners already in Group F. They take on Young Boys tonight. A much changed United team for them. Dean Henderson starts in goal. A back four of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Nemanja Matic, Eric Bailly and Luke Shaw. In midfield, we have Donny van de Beek and Juan Mata, with Jesse Lingard, Amad Diallo and Anthony Elanga, all in support of Mason Greenwood. Meanwhile, the real drama in that group will be in Bergamo, where Atalanta and Villarreal are essentially in a head-for-head battle for a place in the last 16. Barcelona, meanwhile, hoping to avoid a group stage exit for the first time in 21 years. They likely need a win away to Bayern Munich tonight to prevent being overtaken by Benfica. The Portuguese side host Dinamo Kiev tonight. And as I mentioned, all 4 teams in Group G can still qualify, with current leaders Lille away to Wolfsburg and Salzburg host Sevilla.
I mean, that is an interesting Manchester United team. Obviously, they're already through, so he's giving guys some game time. So Dean Henderson, Wan-Bissaka back in, Matic, Eric Bailly as the centre-half pairing, presumably Luke Shaw back in after his concussion woes. Lingard gets a game, Van de Beek gets a game, Juan Mata. Welcome back, Juan Mata. Where you been? You could kind of forget Juan Mata was at the club for a time. Amad Diallo, and then Greenwood and Anthony Elanga leading the line, or some formation of that variety.
He goes with a 4-2-2-2, essentially, does Rangnick. That's his kind of preferred formation, so it's a slight alteration from what we've seen before. But yeah, it looks like Greenwood and Elanga will be those two. Mata and possibly Lingard in support of those, and then Matic and in midfield, so yeah.
Okay. I can see Lingard enjoying the 4-2-2-2 formation. We'll see how they go, Will. They're against Young Boys. Young Boys away was one of the low points of the Solskjaer regime, when they had a sending off and they relinquished all possession and dropped back into a back 5 and hung on for dear life.
They were really poor in the last 15-20 minutes of that game. I think I'm with you on Lingard. I think Rangnick could really like him. Lingard is a player who is going to be very busy. He's good at creating chances too. I'm surprised that both Van de Beek and Lingard, that the glass wasn't smashed and those players weren't brought in at some point late on in the Solskjaer regime. And there are 2 players who, potentially could get new life under Ralph Rangnick, because last weekend we didn't see Cristiano Ronaldo necessarily pressing in the same way you would see Roberto Firmino, but he started to cover space a lot better than he was doing in previous weeks. So even with just a few days in the training ground, it's clear that Rangnick is going to play under the philosophy which he has used up until this point, and the players are going to have to fit into that system. So intrigued to see, even though it's a chance to maybe say, right, here are the players I didn't play at the weekend and the players who didn't get a chance against Arsenal, go out and impress me in a game that's effectively a dead rubber at head to young boys, where realistically they should be winning anyway.
Look, guys, Fred has laid down the gauntlet. Go out there and do better than Fred. That's your team.
The real
Tough done.
test tonight is Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw, because I don't think they've featured really in the last couple of games. Perhaps I think one of them may have, but I think he'd be wanting to look and see how they can perform in his setup in a team that's weakened and with the carrot of having to go through, etc., already taken away. He wants to see that they can put in a shift, put in a performance, and perform like fullbacks in a Ralph Rangnick team can do. So I think the interesting players to watch will probably be those two tonight.
Well, I hate to ruin the suspense, but Aaron Wan-Bissaka ain't going to cut it in a Ralph Rangnick team where he needs width and quality from out wide. So I don't know.
Give him enough rope, Joe. That's what I think he's doing tonight.
Yeah. So that's the situation at Old Trafford. What else is going on?
Gary Ringrose signing a new central contract today. The centre is going to remain with Leinster in Ireland until at least the summer of 2025, by which time he'll be the tender age of 30. Ringrose has 37 Ireland caps to his name so far and is closing in on a century of appearances for Leinster.
News on Pele?
Yeah, he's back in hospital, unfortunately, to undergo further treatment on a colon tumour. The 81-year-old underwent surgery on the same condition back in September. The three-time World Cup winner is in a stable condition, they say, and should be discharged, fingers crossed, in the next few days. So
Johan van Graan, isolating, was speaking to the media over Zoom or Skype this afternoon.
Yeah, he's the gaffer still, it would seem. He says some Munster players isolating following their return from South Africa could feature against Wasps on Sunday. However, the head coach has revealed that a number of that cohort have since tested positive for COVID-19. Munster are due to open their Heineken Champions Cup campaign in Coventry on Sunday. Academy manager Ian Costello has been overseeing preparations, but Van Graan insists that he will be picking the team for this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I'm sure, very worrying news for those that managed to pass their PCR test and arrive home and then subsequently test positive for COVID. Is not the news they wanted. Van Graan did say in his press conference earlier, Will, that there's nobody who is very sick, which is good news. As for the game, they have a very tidy backline because a lot of those frontline players stayed back and weren't in South Africa, so they've been training away. And then up front, they have Peter O'Mahony, they have Tyg Byrne, and they have Dave Kilcoyne, and then there will be a smattering of some inexperience around those. All that said, I literally have not heard a single pundit not say, do you know what? This may be crazy. I just think Munster might go and win. I haven't heard a single person tip Munster to lose yet.
Yeah, look, sometimes when there's those moments of adversity, like Munster have been taking this in pretty good spirits too. I was reading some of Peter O'Mahony's quotes. It was a great one where he was asked about some of the young players that have been training in the back row over the last couple of weeks, and he said he was playing beside a player who was born in 2004 and suggested that Keith Earls might be his dad. So young are some of the players that are currently in with the Munster senior squad. So look, there is a spine there of Joey Carberry, O'Mahony, Byrne, Kilcoyne, who you're basically hoping that they can go into a big cup match against Wasps and can almost just kind of drive these young players forward. Like, it's a huge opportunity for those that are going to come in. The good news is that most of the players will have gone through their isolation period for the second game, so at least it's not like what was first feared, that Munster might struggle to get repatriated back into the country, then have to go through an isolation period that would have cut down the time to prepare for match day 2. At least it looks like they might have to take this one on the nose, go and try and eke something out in Wasps, even if it's a losing bonus point, and then at least they can get back to relative normality for weekend 2.
Spurs situation, Rich, not good.
No, not at all. It's becoming a theme, actually, going through the stories today, that this is becoming more and more prevalent. And Tottenham boss Antonio Conte says the coronavirus outbreak in his squad has become a serious situation. 8 players have now tested positive, along with 5 members of his backroom team. They play Rennes in the Conference League tomorrow night, while talks are ongoing with Premier League regarding the viability of Sunday's game with Brighton. Conte says the situation at the club is pretty worrying.
Every day we are having contact with the person that are false negative and become positive, and then everyone is a bit scared. Also because I think everyone we have family, and why I have to take this risk? Why and why? This is my question. But I repeat, today we had the training session. We prepared the game, and then yesterday 2 other positives. Today, other 2 positives, and tomorrow, who? Me? I don't know. maybe better me than a player for sure. But I think that it's not right for everyone, because we have family, and we have contact with our family. When we come back to home, we have contact with our family. We don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's a very humanizing comment, isn't it? Like, they're all earning millions, they're very privileged, life is good, but sense there in Spurs, I would think of going in and waiting to catch COVID and to bring it back to your family. That's extremely stressful. You could hear it there in his voice. On the COVID front, I keep meaning to, today's been off the charts busy to watch Boris Johnson's performance in Westminster. Don't you get a chance? Because the only clip I saw, and in fairness, like the neck on the man is impressive, but the clip I saw was where he was reading the prepared comments. And look, it's surprised nobody. It's surprised nobody's going to absolutely throw his staff over the bus. So he was like, "Look, I think we're all furious to hear, to see those people joking. I think we're all furious. I share your fury." And I thought, I'm saving this. I'm home to watch Newsnight this evening. This is going to be good.
Yeah, Newsnight will be a bit of crack.
Don't forget, Joe. Joking about this is worse than actually having a party.
Yeah. Pete just said we have the clip. Go on, yeah. Hit me with Boris.
Mr. Speaker, may I begin by saying that I understand and share the anger up and down the country at seeing number 10 staff seeming to make light of lockdown measures. And I can understand how infuriating it must be to think that the people who have been setting the rules have not been following the rules, Mr. Speaker, because I was also furious to see that clip. And Mr. Speaker, I apologise unreservedly for the offence that it has caused up and down the country, and I apologise for the impression that it gives.
My God. I mean, what do you
Can you imagine living in a country where your opposition is so weak that you can't, like, if it was a general election tomorrow, he'd still win. The Tories would still win. Like, that speaks volumes of where Labour have fallen in that country, that they can't oust people that incompetent and that disdainful of their own electorate. Like, it's bizarre, but it must be sad for English people to realise that Tories are a bunch of wrong-uns.
Yeah, so quite a few former footballers are on the case. Gary Neville's really leading the charge against.
It is cut through, as they say, because.
Well, you know, there's something. So even if you have a passing interest in politics, this is not a policy issue that can be mired in mud and very complicated. This is just a simple issue. Basically, on the week that we told everybody you can't go and see your loved ones dying, Christmas is cancelled, we were having a knees up in Westminster. Like that, it doesn't get any more simple. That's so digestible, and I mean, I don't think it's going to cause a general election, but it's definitely going to hurt them. Anyway,
I don't think it will. It's like,
do you not think so? I think they're losing blood here. On this one.
They are, like, if they can hold on for another 6 months, to a year, that they're gonna be, in by comparative standards to any other functioning democracy, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna get through this because they seem to be, like, look at the stuff they've already gone through. If a Christmas party is going to bring them down, then that country is doomed.
Sometimes
look, if a man can drive
stuff
to a castle to test his sight, he can probably survive, members of staff joking about having a Christmas party. Like, well, this is going to annoy people. The news cycle will just move to something different next week. The Tories feel like absolutely bulletproof at the moment. Even like looking at some of the fallout from today, it seems that Boris Johnson barely got a hand landed on him by Labour during the whole exchange.
Starmer's struggling, yeah. I don't know. I think this one, I think they could be still explaining here in a couple of days on this one, and this could drift on. Sorry, I've just seen your next story. Why was this not top item? What the hell? You're trolling me. Last story, most importantly, of course.
Yeah. Tiger Woods is going to make his return to competitive golf next week. The 15-time major winner is going to play alongside his 12-year-old son, Charlie, at the PNC Championship in Orlando. Woods hasn't played tournament golf since suffering that near-fatal car crash back in February of last year. Last week, of course, he ruled out a full-time return to the PGA Tour. 20 major winners and family members are going to be playing in Orlando next week, and Woods and Charlie are going to be two of them.
Now we're cooking. I wouldn't get too excited. You can drive a cart around here, so you don't do any walking, and they will both hit off different tees, and they can often pick Charlie's drive if they want. So this is as lukewarm a return as it gets. But hey, it's Tiger Woods playing golf on TV again, so it'll be interesting to see.
Charlie probably already out to review, Joe.
Charlie, oh my God, have you seen his swing? Look
it's,
at there's like
frightening.
side by sides of Charlie and Tiger Woods swinging a club, and it's frighteningly similar. Yeah. So there you go, fellas. We're out of time. We've covered it all this evening. What a trip, Richie. Thank you.
Nice one.
Will O'Callaghan, thanks as ever. Will, cheers.
Take it easy, lads.
All you need for Christmas.
News Talk's Christmas cash machine.
Thank you. Holy moly, thanks a million. Thank you very much.
Your chance to win big.
Now, Lee Slyman from Newbridge won over €8,000 in the Christmas cash machine today, so we have topped up the machine with €6,948.31 to be in with a chance to win. Text the word play to 57599. Get your entry in by 3 o'clock tomorrow and listen out for the call from